Welcome back to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. My dad always used to tell me to make sure that I keep good people around me, because we're the average of the people we surround ourselves with most. And I don't know who else is in his top 4, but as far as I can tell, soon-to-be rookie superstar Abdullah AlSaif looks like he knows how to pick 'em. Recently, new photos surfaced of Saif keeping some pretty impressive company in the form of 212 All-Star Zane Watson, who gave the young guy a few pointers on how to fine-tune his presentation. Saif took the international bodybuilding scene by storm this year on his way to winning the Classic and Open bodybuilding titles at the Arnold Amateur and the Amateur Olympia, which is something that I'm 100% positive has never happened before in the history of bodybuilding. And at this point in his career, Saif's ceiling is as high as anyone's that we've ever seen in a very long time. So it should be fun to watch and see what sort of player this kid develops into over the next few seasons. You know, I had somebody tell me once that bodybuilding is a lot like fighting, sex, and dancing. It doesn't take very long after you start before people figure out that you suck. That's why when you see a freight train like Robert Taylor headed your way, you better make sure that you're ready to rumble. The latest updates trickling out from sources inside the camp of the 3-time British champion show him looking like an absolute destroyer of worlds. When he's firing on all cylinders, Taylor is a guy who brings a level of density and conditioning that you just don't see most athletes have these days. And with the UK Amateur Olympia set to go down this weekend, you have to wonder if the stage isn't set for a guy like Taylor to walk in there and clean house on the way to locking up a pro card that's been a few years in the making. Once upon a time, the name Eduardo Correa used to make people wake up in a cold sweat in the 212 division. And rumor has it that the former perennial title threat might be planning to make a comeback in 2019. Over the last few weeks, some reliable sources have told me that Correa and his team already have a plan in place that would put this 7-time Olympian back on a bodybuilding stage next season for the first time since 2016, where he would presumably be trying to get himself in a position to take a stab at the vacant division title that's up for grabs now. When he wasn't dealing with injuries, Correa was one of the most spectacular talents in the division, and with this race at the top completely wide open now, it might be the perfect time for a guy like him to jump back in and get it while the getting is good. In sports, life, and business, timing is everything. But I'm sure you don't have to tell that to Andre Adams. The classic physique pro is starting to round the corner in his first prep of the season, which probably couldn't have come at a better time, considering the fact that a lot of the heavy hitters in the division have already tied the bow on their contest prep plans for the year. From the way it looks, Adams is coming into this year with some new muscle and a few new details that can go a long way in some of these classic physique lineups. So as long as he's strategic with what he does from here on out, he's certainly someone who can make some noise down the road. As someone who may or may not partake in the fine art of sport betting on a weekly basis, I'm pretty good at being able to recognize a hot streak when I see one. And I think winning your second straight figure Olympia title and then following that up with earning your master's degree would qualify as a hot streak in most people's books. Last week we saw reigning and defending figure Olympia champ Cyd Gillon announce that she was now the proud recipient of her master's degree, which is one hell of an accomplishment in its own right, as anyone who's ever tried to go back to school will tell you. Over the last 2 years, Gillen's done an awesome job representing the division and setting the standard for what excellence at the top looks like for all these young athletes trying to follow in her footsteps. And if she can keep this pace up for another 2 or 3 years, I think we can start having a serious conversation about whether or not she's moved past Nicole Wilkins in the pantheon as the best athlete to ever do it in the figure division. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.